Hello guys, so I thought to make a quick video. So question was this, that from the input file, uh, we need to print the position of smileys and then position of top 10 words. The output can be XML, text or console, and it can be any or all of them. So let me quickly go through the code, how it's organized and all. So basically, if you see on the left side, there are three there are two main classes. One is a parser class and one is a display class. Tests is used to it carries the CMake test. Common contains the common headers, includes preprocessor directives. Then the driver is the main int main function, which is actually the caller of these two classes. So display parser is used to parse the input file, which is input.txt, and then display is used for dumping the output onto the screen based on the user input. So let me just build it. Okay, and so this has a README file as well. So if we look at the README, so I have provided the description that has two main classes, 5 directories. CMake builds the static libraries. Then CTest is the unit test framework which is deployed. Proper error checking is done using the return values as well as all the exceptions are caught. 4 boost libraries I have used: PropertyTree, Filesystem, Tokenizer, and ProgramOptions. And in addition to catching the exceptions, I have defined a class null exception which catches the null pointer exception. Um, so it's done. Let me run make. So these warnings basically are, I have done some tests on LDAP and curl, so these are for those, so please ignore them as of now. So the output can be in any of these forms. For example, the XML output would be something like this. Top words would be word, and the count will also be there, that how many times that particular word has occurred. Index of smileys. Then I have provided JSON output as well, in which top words and word and their particular count is there. And then console it's printed like this, and then text on the output of the console is simply saved in the same way. Okay, so let it compile. Meanwhile, let me just walk through the basic code flow. So in main, the function of a display a class is created. It calls the output options, which passes the command line arguments to it. So this output options uses the boost program options library, and it stores what the values are for the the command line arguments. Then the string is passed to the parser class. The input file is passed to the parser class. It parses it and it dumps the content on any of these formats based on the input provided in the output options. So let me see this. Let me copy the input file from here. So driver. So um, this is how we do it. So help again will print the same output. So let me just run d with JSON maybe. So it created a JSON file. Let me open a JSON file. So these are the top words, that is, and these are the words and their number of times which occurred, and these are the index of smiley. So let me just try to increase the smiley um, at end and see that how it works. So let me, or maybe in somewhere in between, let me try to increase. Um, so let me do this one. Okay, this is considered to be a valid smiley. So let me take the output in JSON as well as maybe console. So console says that the index was increased by, that is 102 was index. It prints onto the console, and same would be updated in the JSON as well. Okay, 102. So now let me give output on all the this. So XML. So now the output is redirected to four places. One is a JSON, text, XML, and the console as well. So similarly, if I try to open the XML file, so it's XML formatting is um, bit messed up by property tree. I have used boost property tree here, but it's a valid XML. If I try to copy it and paste in a browser for the XML checker, it's a valid XML. And for output.txt, so it's same as the so let me just go through quickly maybe the driver and the display classes. Also, let me run the test, make test. So I have deliberately added the tests. Um, if you see here, I have deliberately added assert function. So if any test fails, I will assert it so that any of the tests are not missed. These macros are actually defined in common. Um, oh, sorry, these macros are defined in tests only. Tests include and macros. So these macros basically throw the runtime error and have defined a macro for condition and macro for equals. So as of now, this test fails because let me just uh, see where it fails. So testing temporary last test dot log. So it shows cannot open a file and the test no file failed. So where is a test no file? So this one failed. So let me try to copy the file to tests directory and see if tests passes. Make test. So now all test passes. Failed out of zero tests failed out of 100% passed. So these tests are basically working. So now let me just go through the code quickly. So let me first go to the display class. So display class basically uses output options, which we have seen here in main function. Uh, so it takes the input, uses the boost program options, and and stores what the options are there in the string of vector. And it has I have caught the exceptions properly. So unknown options can be thrown, as well as the too many positional arguments, positional options can be thrown. Let me just show you how. Build driver, if something like this, it says reading from file. Okay, fine. So now then let us check with the parser class. So in parser, parser object stores the file name, and then we have a parse file function which calls a open file. So open file uses the boost o file system library, checks the file is valid, path is valid or not, and if the path is valid, it goes to read file. So in read file, uh, I have used boost tokenizer. So tokenizer can tokenize either based on the space or /t. So tokenizer, the separator can either be space or /t as asked. Um, and then, yeah, so it stores the index as well as the unique words, top words in the unordered map of count words. And then finally, it calls the dump from the display class. So dump basically creates a stream, and this stream is duplicated for console, and then it's duplicated for file. So this null pointer exception can be thrown with rdbuff, which is caught with exception class. So I have written one new exception class, um, which is the null pointer exception, and this exception can be caught here if any problem occurs. And this dump to XML and dump to JSON, these uses the boost program options, and this creates a property tree, and then it does write to JSON, and finally it does write to XML as well. So for both of them, it can throw boost XML parser error, uh, and bad alloc is thrown for the pushback, which is used here for the index of smileys. So both exceptions are caught here. This catch all is used for catching a generic exception, that is triple dots. And I think that's how the code is neatly and cleanly organized. So for documentation, I have written a readme.md file which contains the basic code structure, directories which are there, and then the driver and the CTest and the output formats, how it would be look like. So yeah, that's how the code is organized. So I know much of things can be done on this code still, but as I found time, I quickly tried to ramp up the code for this. So yeah, thanks. Have a good day.